What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Night Lounge Media Network and the first inaugural show of Unpopular Opinion. I am and will forever be your host, KODX Factor. Some of y'all know me as Kyle. Other of you guys know me as Factor. All my handles are KODX Factor. And again, thank you so much for joining us here today on this wonderful, wonderful Monday morning to the first of hopefully many, many, many episodes of Unpopular Opinion. Now, I want to kind of break down how this show is going to work, what it's going to look like, what it's going to entail over the weeks, over the months, over hopefully the years. This is going to be a game-related show, which means we're going to cover a lot of video game topics, news, stuff like that. And this is not going to be like a news-type podcast. I'm not here for that. This is basically, as the title says, an opinion podcast. And it's going to be solely my opinion. And my opinion is not always going to agree with your opinion or other people's opinion. And that's fine. That's why I left. Man, my voice is just really kind of cracked out. That's what happens when you start getting sinuses and the fall starting to come in. It starts to mess you up. And by the way, I need to ask this question now. And again, I'm going to let you guys know here out in the audience, if you hear me talking to somebody, it sounds like in the background, or if you hear me asking a question to somebody and you don't hear any answering, no, I'm not talking to myself. I am asking legit questions to a quote-unquote producer that I have for this show. This is a family affair. This is a family show. And by that, I don't mean the content. I mean, I legit have like my son helping me on the production side of it. I have my daughter who's a good ear for when it comes to music, who's helping me with the music picks and the music tastes in between segments. So if you're hearing me ask a question, it's because I'm asking my son probably a question about either the topic we're talking about or the show in general that I need to kind of get an answer to that I don't have time to kind of look on my computer or my iPad to try to figure out right now. So I'm going to ask this question right now. How long do I have before I can actually start cursing in the podcast? Because the show is going to go up on YouTube. Not only is it going to be we haven't decided on who the podcast hosting of the show hosting is going to be, but we are going to put it up on YouTube. And with that, I need to know how long before I can start cursing before YouTube says we can't monetize your video, because YouTube has a rule where if you curse within a certain time limit of the video start, they will demonetize your video, which means you can't get paid for it. But I need to know that now. How long? 7 seconds. Okay. So I have 7 seconds from the time that the video starts before I can say my first cuss word. And I'm well beyond that point now. Fuck it. Had to get it out there. All right. So let me break this show down on how it's going to work on a week-to-week basis. Now, this is going to be a weekly show. This isn't a daily show. This is going to be a weekly show. This is going to be, there's no set time limit to the show. Some weeks it could be about 40 to 50 minutes. Some weeks it could be more than that. It could be over an hour. Some weeks it could be like an hour and a half. We don't have a set time frame on it, okay? We plan on having guests throughout the course of the show. I would love to have people on, other people that we can kind of have banter back and forth with. I welcome that. We're going to be opening up the hashtag Unpopular Opinion on Twitter. Well, I guess it's X, formerly known as Twitter. I hate saying that. So we're going to open up the hashtag of Unpopular Opinion. And feel free to use that hashtag. We will check it daily. And leave us your feedback. Leave us your comments, any questions. And we will have a segment in every show, which is probably going to be like our segment number 4. I'm going between either segment 4 or segment 5 for the Twitter hashtag. So we're going to answer the questions or address any of the comments that we see in there. So, excuse me, feel free to do that. Now, as far as the YouTube progress on this goes, We're going to upload the entire episode as a YouTube video. That will be up there for you guys. So if you guys use YouTube, it will be there. We also plan on lifting segments out of the podcast. So if there's only like a particular topic that you want to hear us talk about from this week's show, and broken down into more like a 10 to 20 minute segment on a YouTube video, we're going to be doing that as well. So we're going to lift segments out of the show and give it its own video as a whole as well. And you'll kind of see what I'm talking about as we roll them out. We're probably going to be rolling out some this week for this episode, as we still try to determine our podcasting hosting platform. Right now, we're going to be doing it ourselves, which I heard is probably the best option to go about. I've heard of a lot of different things from a lot of different other companies that do podcast hosting that they're having issues with. So that's what we plan on doing, is kind of doing it ourselves for a while, kind of seeing how that goes, and then we'll kind of go from there. Now that we had that out the way, this show will probably come out mid to late week. I'm saying possibly like around Thursday. Thursday is a time frame that I'm kind of gunning for. Friday could be a possibility as well. And trust me when I say, what I'm talking about is I'm going to try. Because the way my work schedule works, I am a business owner. I have stuff that I have to do a lot of throughout the week. And there's going to be some weeks that's going to be much, much tighter for me to get a show in. So occasionally you might see gaps in between. But we are going to be doing our damnedest to get a show recorded on a weekly basis and get it out there to you guys. And I want to get it out there kind of midweek so that way you guys kind of have something to listen to on your way to work, as you're coming home from work, excuse me, towards the end of the week. Have something to kind of go into your weekend with. Okay? Now, we've gone through probably the start of this show probably 3 or 4 different times trying to get the equipment right. I've got a brand new headset on, new mic attached here, so we'll sound the first time we recorded it. It sounded like we had pretty much the whole show recorded. We were ready to go, uploaded and everything. But it just the sound quality sounded so bad with the headset and the microphone I was using that we had to pretty much delete it and start over, and that's what I wanted to do. Now let's get into this week's show. And let me explain to you how we have it broken down. Segment number 1 is going to be what we've been playing this week, what we've gotten our hands on. Yes, I know. You don't have to keep waving me down. I see your hands. I know. I'm working on it. This is the first episode. You got to give me times. I'm working on it. I know I say a lot, and I'm working through that. Okay? I got you. So segment number 1, we're going to be going over what we've been playing this week. And I know my voice is cracking too. I've got Starfield I've been playing a lot of, a game called Under the Waves I've been playing a lot of, a game called Crime Boss I've been playing a lot of, have started to get my hands a little bit on NBA 2K24. We got a under review segment this week for Madden 24. We've got a few other games actually coming in over the course of the next few days as well that we're going to be getting our hands on. Mortal Kombat 1 is in the office now. We should be getting some early, I won't say early, but we should be getting some impressions to kind of go off of that, hopefully for next week's show. But that'll be our segment number 1 of the games that we've been playing. Segment number 2, we've got some opinion pieces. I don't know what to call the segment yet. I haven't really named that down just yet. But we've got opinion pieces. Could we name it something like that? Possibly segment number 2. The opinion piece, or what really grinds my gears. I like that. the Peter Griffin one. What really grinds my gears? And there's 2 stories this week I want to touch on. One of them being, and I want to thank you, Blue Diamond Man, for bringing this story to my attention, because I didn't know about it until you had sent me the message on it, and then I started seeing the uproar on it. And that is the Unity game engine price increase. As well as I want to go into the Starfield review bombing by fans and some journalists alike. So that's going to be the segment number 2 I guess what grinds my gears. Segment number 3, we have Under Review. So Under Review is coming back, ladies and gentlemen. I know it was a segment we had on YouTube for quite a while. It disappeared for a while, and we are bringing it back. We're going to bring it back in a segment form on this show. We're going to lift it out as a segment on its own for YouTube as well. This week we've got Madden 24, and we got a few other games coming out over the next couple weeks that we're going to get to as well. I haven't finished Starfield yet, so I can't give my review for Starfield just yet, but I will give you my opinion as we get into the first segment. Segment number 4, we're going to open up the Twitter hashtags, and this is normally going to be the segment where we go through with the Twitter hashtags and we answer your questions addressing the comments that you guys have, either about me, the show, or my opinion. So if you want to tell me my opinion sucks, go right ahead. I'll be happy to combat it with you. If you want to tell me my opinion is spot on, I'll address that too. If you have any questions about either the expertise that I have or a little bit about me as far as like what it is that I bring to the table, just bring it up in the hashtag. I'll address it. We sometimes we will have a segment number 5. We haven't concluded that just yet. And then segment number 6 is obviously going to be our closing. We're going to look into next week's show, what we have coming up that following week as far as games go, game reviews, upcoming gameplays, stuff like that, and some stream announcements of what we got going on our game stream end. Okay? So we do still plan on streaming on a week-to-week basis, and we're going to kind of address that and bring up that schedule a little bit more as we go on. So we have that to look forward to. Now, let's get into the crux and the meat of this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Unpopular Opinion. We are ready to kick this show off. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And when we come right back off of this musical break, we will get into our first segment of what we've been playing. So, Maestro, bring us out, please. Welcome on back, ladies and gentlemen, to our first segment to kick off this show of Unpopular Opinion. We are going to go into what we have been playing this past week, and let me tell you, it has been a lot. But I'm not going to go over every little thing we played this week because we've done a lot. We've got our hands on a lot. Some games that are a bit older in the catalog. You know, trying to fill out some of our backlog, trying to get some of those games cleared out. I mean, you're talking about somebody who just recently completed God of War. And no, not the first one. I'm talking about Ragnarok. Okay? And that game came out over almost a year ago. And I finally got around to finishing it off. Okay? That's how busy we have been here, that I've got a backlog that's pretty extensive that I'm trying to get through and push through and finish some of this stuff off. And one of the games I am working through is one of the games I'm actually about to talk about right now, and that's Starfield. Now, let me go into this and say I am not going to give you a review of Starfield. I'm not here for that just yet. You're going to have to wait for a future episode of this show to get that under review for Starfield. I've got a long way to go. I'm just going to give you my honest opinion about it from what I've been playing so far of it, and I am not too far in the game. I am only maybe 4 or 5 hours in, maybe a little bit more than that, but roughly about 4 to 5 hours in. And this opinion is going to be based solely on that, my experience thus far. And this will kind of lead into what our second segment is, what really grinds my gears about what I've been seeing about this game. But let me first start off by saying this. I'm a fan of Bethesda. I like Bethesda as a studio. I love some of the people that work there. I met Todd Howard many years ago. Great guy, funny guy to be around. That's for damn sure. I passed that time frame, right? I just want to make sure. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So I am a fan of Bethesda. I like their games. I like the way that they do their storytelling in some of their games. Now, am I a fan of everything Bethesda does? No, not at all. Do I like a lot of things? Yes, of course I do. I'm a fan of Elder Scrolls, even though I think they did. They just they kept re-releasing Skyrim way too many times at the point that it just got like another one. GTA starting to do the same exact thing where they're starting to re-release GTA so many freaking times that now it's to the point it's like, really? Do you really need to re-release it? How many other platforms could you possibly put that game on? I love Fallout, the Fallout series, Fallout 3, Fallout 4. Did not like Fallout 76 at all. I thought that was a major, major disappointment. It took a while for me to get, or it took a while for Elder Scrolls Online to grow on me. I like it now. I've played it pretty consistently. I haven't played it in a little while. Don't get me wrong. Don't make it sound like it's a game that I plug in and play every single week. I don't. But for a time there, it was a game that I went back to every single night just to kind of get my character further and further and further. I have all the expansions for it. Fallout 76, not so much. So I go into this with that in mind. Starfield is to me is a great game. No, not good. No, just not mediocre, not subpar. A great game. If you are a fan of the older Fallout games, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, you will like Starfield. For the gameplay mechanics, to the way that the story progresses, through the massive, massive amount of missions that you can do, you're going to like Starfield. If you in any way did not like that kind of storytelling, that kind of gameplay, you are not going to like Starfield. Okay? I'm just going to put that out there. If you do, if you are the type of player that is all about exploration, what you can find, what you can craft, any little thing looking crazy. I'm one of those players, okay? I went into Starfield, and my very first mission I was in there, I'm picking up, and you could pick up a lot, like most everything in that game you could pick up and stash it in your inventory. I was picking up random things that I had no business picking up to begin with. Like, who needs a stapler? I don't know, but I picked it up anyway. I mean, see, some of that stuff that you can sell, you can get, some small amount of credits for, but it will fill up your inventory really, really quick. And I found that out the hard way super fast. The game's inventory system does leave a lot to be desired. And I think a lot of that can be fixed when it comes to the resource system. Because when you go to different planets to explore and you hit the planet level and you start to explore and start mining resources that you're obviously going to have to use to upgrade yourself, your equipment, and your ship. And your ship's going to require some big upgrades as well. Trust me, as you go into the game. It weighs you down heavily, quite considerably. And I think that's part of the problem. Like, if the resources themselves did not have a weight to them, I think it would help out tremendously. It would leave a lot more room for the items that you really need to carry as far as weapons go. Ammo, I don't think has a... You can correct me if I'm wrong. I do not think that the ammo has any weight to it. I really don't. A lot of the other equipment does. Such as like your armor, such as like your... like the different pieces that you find throughout the world, that stuff does have weight to it. The ammo does not. The guns obviously do. But if you add that in with the resources, because the resources get heavy and get heavy quick, especially when you start mining a lot of it, because there's some planets that have those type of resources everywhere. And when you have them everywhere, and you're a completionist, and you're out there doing, you're mining stuff, you're like me, you're hitting everything you see. And those resources do gather, and they do pick up weight quite considerably. Now, you can put your resources, which is what I started doing, you can put them into the ship's cargo. Your ship does have a cargo hold. And you can drop all of your resources into that. And the good thing about this is if you go to upgrade either your equipment or your ship from a workbench, and your ship has a workbench on it, and it doesn't even have to be a workbench that's on the ship. It could be one that's out in the world or the planet you're on. It could pull the resources from your cargo or wherever you have your resources stashed. So you don't have to have the resources on your person to be able to use them in the upgrades, which I thought was just that was a great addition, because there's many times I had to go either build something or upgrade something, and I had to sit there thinking in my mind, crap, now I got to go back to my ship, so I got to fast travel back to my ship, then fast travel back to where I was. As long as it's a town that's been unlocked on your map, you can fast travel back to it. But no, you can actually just straight use the equipment that's already on your ship and your cargo as the resources, so you don't have to go back and actually grab them. I thought that was a really sweet addition. The NPCs are pretty lively. There are some bugs with some of the NPCs where you're in like the conversations with them, and you probably seen some videos on it online. It's actually pretty funny. Like, they won't look in your direction when they're talking to you. I've ran into that a couple times. That's not really a main issue to me at all. The conversations do run smoothly. There are factions in the world that you can join. There are different ways to go about the conversations as well that you can try to persuade. Based on the traits and stuff like that you build for yourself as you level up. And even from your starting class, they give you a pretty good amount of options to choose from as far as your backstory goes during the character creation part of it. What planet did you call home? So when you go back to that particular planet, you already have a rapport with those people. I thought that was pretty cool. So I have run into some of those bugs where the NPCs just like or here's the other funny one I ran into. I am in the middle of a conversation with an NPC, and there's a background NPC that kind of gets in the way, and they're like looking at you as you're in the conversation, like they're like almost like they're stopping to kind of listen to what's going on in the conversation. Those are pretty funny. I think even one of those is even up in one of the videos that we did for the stream for like the early part of Starfield. So just take this in, okay? If you are a fan of Fallout, you're gonna like it. But the biggest caveat to me is going to be, for some people, is you've got to be like a fan of sci-fi or space exploration. You have to be a fan of something like that. If you're not, if something like that doesn't really, tickle your fancy, you're not gonna be too involved with this game. Okay, you have to enjoy the worlds of like sci-fi and space fighting, space exploration, space talks, the politics involved up there, because you're not in a post-apocalyptic world. Like, you're not in a post-apocalyptic Earth where things have fallen apart, monsters have kind of come into the world. Now, instead of like the monsters, you're fighting alien species and alien races that you come into contact with as you go on with your space exploration, which kind of offsets that. So, I mean, and I'm a big fan of like space exploration. I love games like Mass Effect. Huge fan of the Mass Effect series. I'm loving Starfield up to this point. Was a big fan of, what's that? The other one. Help me out here. No. Damn it. The other one where you can, it's like space exploration where you can explore planet to planet to planet. They really, really fucked up the launch of it. But they really, really rebounded with the updates and kind of flushing out the game to where it was supposed to be. Yes, No Man's Sky. That game. But I have heard, and no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait till the second segment when we get to the Grounds by Gear segment. I'm not going to touch on any of that right now. Wait till the next segment. Just, you're going to like it, okay? Just take it from my opinion. You don't have to. I don't give a shit. But I'm just telling you know that, to me, Starfield is a great game. You just got to be into that genre of game. If you're not, then you don't have to waste your time, okay? And it's not like you're really wasting time. I mean, wasting time, yes. You don't have to really waste money, though. It's on Xbox. It's on Game Pass. You can go download it off of Game Pass and play it. Give it a try. See if you really, really like it or not. And it's not like it's just a demo that's up on Game Pass. The full game. The full game is there. You know? So it's not like Bethesda saying, hand me your $70 right now. They already have the deal with Microsoft in place. They're already owned by Microsoft. So the game is on Game Pass. Just go download it and play it. You don't have to take my opinion for it. If you don't really want to, you say, look, this fucking guy has no idea what he's talking about. I don't get it. It's whatever. Go try it out for yourself. Be one of those guys that goes out there and try it for himself. Give your own opinion of it. Hell. All right. And what else have we been playing this week? It's a game called Under the Waves. Now, for those of you that have no idea what Under the Waves is, let me kind of give you just a brief background of it because, again, I'm maybe only halfway done with this game, so I still got a lot to go. Under the Waves is a very heavily story-driven game. It's an exploration game. Okay? What do I mean by exploration game? It's a game that's going to involve a lot of exploring, finding resources. Hey, like Starfield. It's a lot like finding resources, upgrading certain equipment, building certain equipment, completing tasks. A lot of those tasks that you have to complete are puzzle-based related, so you got to solve the puzzle to complete that particular task. Some of the puzzles are quite fucking annoying. Other puzzles are relatively easy. Kind of shifts the difficulty up and down a little bit. I like that. The story is driven by a studio that I have always had a soft spot in my heart for, and that is Quantic Dreams. If you don't know who Quantic Dreams is, they are the studio that is behind games like Detroit for PlayStation 4, right? Mm-hmm. Heavy Rain that came out on PlayStation 3. What's the other one that's Heavy Rain was like the Origami Killer. There was one that came out on PlayStation 2. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but Indigo Prophecy. There you go. They are the studio behind those story-driven games. Now, this game does not follow that same art style as those other games. Those games followed like a really realistic art style. This game does not follow that realistic art style. This is more of like I don't want to say cell shaded, but it does have like that artsy feel to it. So it does have like that artsy feel. The game takes place completely underwater in the ocean. So the crux from what I'm gathering from the story so far, and please take this with the idea that I'm only still halfway through the game. And as you progress day by day in this game, more and more of the story is starting to come to light. And basically, you are playing this engineer who works for this oil company, and I'm guessing it's an oil company because they seem like they're more concerned about oil and making money than they are about their own employees' well-beings. Does that sound like any other companies out there? Probably so. Maybe even one that you're working for right now. You're sitting at their desk thinking to yourself, These fuckers don't care about me. Well, guess what? In this game, Under the Waves, they don't either. He is battling like inner demons because what I've gathered so far is his daughter has died in a car crash, and he was the driver, and he blames himself for the accident. So he's battling his inner demons of him fighting the fact that he feels that he killed his daughter. He's having nightmares on a nightly basis about his daughter revisiting him and his daughter talking to him wherever he's at. He left his wife to go do this job for this company that you can already tell she hates. He's not too fond either, but he looks at it as a way to escape and get away from having to deal with the pain of of the loss of his daughter. And his wife wants him to stay home to help deal with what he's dealing with because she's hurting as well. I mean, it's her daughter too. She's hurting as well. She wants somebody there to kind of comfort her as well, but she also wants to be there for him because from what I gather, I don't think she was in the crash. Now, this could change as I get a little bit more further into the game. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet. But what I gather is she wants to kind of help him. And the guy that he is talking to while he's on these jobs, where he's at under the water, has an idea of what he's going through as well. And kind of knows the family on that personal level. And is trying to help him ease back some of the burden that he's feeling from the death of his daughter. It's a very complex, in-depth story. I love games like this. I can sit back and play games like this all day. And it's some of y'all might be like, it's not action oriented enough. It doesn't have enough into it to where it's going to kind of keep my attention. That's fine. This game is only going to gravitate towards certain audiences. I don't think it's for everybody. If you're not used to like kind of like that slow gameplay, monotonous gameplay, it's probably not a game for you. But if you love like the story-driven type of titles, where it's giving you little bit by little bit as you go, instead of because there are some games that'll give you the whole caveat to the story or give you the whole crux of the story right at the beginning. And then they're like, okay, now here, how are you going to deal with it going forward? This game does not do that. It's almost like unraveling the story. Just peeling back a corner at a time. Day by day. It's only going to give you a little bit. It's only going to give you a little bit. And then a little bit more. And then a little bit more. And then some stuff's going to happen. Like, hey, go out here. And all of a sudden you'll faint. And you'll wake up in this dream world. And then it gives you a little bit more. And gives you a little bit more. See, that's the type of games and storytelling that I like. Me personally, I like. And I can sit there and play those games all day. But again, if that's not in for you, you don't have to. If you want to even know what it is, you can go to our YouTube channel. I've got like, maybe 2 or 3 episodes on this game already that are up there. You can go watch the gameplay for yourself. Watch to where I'm currently at. I think I'm on like day 14 or 15 right now. You can go see just how the gameplay is and how the storytelling is for you to kind of make a decision if it's a game that you feel like you want to play. All right, and the last game I want to talk about here real quick, I'm not going to get too deep into this one either, is a game called Crime Boss. We just got the physical copy here in the office not too long ago. Started playing it the day that we got it in. I did not realize, I remember seeing this game showcased at, I want to say the Xbox showcase maybe like a year or 2 ago. And when I saw the cast, I was like, ooh, this game actually has the potential to kind of be pretty good. It looked kind of like that GTA game / maybe Payday in a way. But the cast was like heavy, like the super, super talented cast. I mean, we're talking about like Chuck Norris as the sheriff. You have, what's the actor who plays Machete? I'm gonna say maybe like is it Tony something? He's in there. He's like one of the gang leaders in there. Michael Rooker from The Walking Dead and the Guardians of the Galaxy is in there. He's like one of the gangsters that's out there that works with you. Michael Madsen is the main character that you take control of the entire time. Kim Basinger is like almost like the lady who helps you along. Danny Glover is like kind of like one of the inside police chiefs that kind of helps give you information. Vanilla Ice, I still don't fucking know why Vanilla Ice is in this game. They have him as a rapper slash almost like the Hispanic gang leader. Is Vanilla Ice have any Hispanic in him whatsoever at all? Maybe you can look that up while I'm talking. I don't think so. I think he's just, one of the go ninja go rappers. You know what I mean? That's when you think of Vanilla Ice, you think of what? Maybe one or two things. Ice Ice Baby and go ninja go. Right? Am I right? But no, he's one of the leaders of the almost like the Mexican cartel gang in that game. Why? And then they have him labeled as one of the hardcore rappers. When the fuck was Vanilla Ice ever labeled as a hardcore rapper? Go Ninja Go does not fucking qualify, okay? Why he's labeled that, I don't know. He had to have seriously asked for that because that couldn't have been like their first choice, right? It just couldn't have been. There's not other people that are more fucking qualified for that. And the other thing I'm going to say about this game, because this game is very, very Payday. If you play Payday, play Payday 2, the upcoming Payday 3, I'm sure is going to be much, much better. If you played any of those are 10 times better than what this shit was. This is just small mission-based stuff. Go rob this store, take all the loot, take as much as you can, bring it back and survive. Or, go rob this store, but do it quietly. Don't set off any alarms. If you do, it's okay. Just fight your way through it, but make sure you still get the loot and you'll get out okay. Non-realistic bullshit that this game was. Just, the story of this is terrible. The voice acting, to me, was the biggest shocker of it all. You have this all-star cast. I won't even say all-star cast, but a very recognizable and notable cast. And somehow you fuck it up. Their voiceover or the voice cuts, like you can tell where they start and they cut, is god awful. The dialogue is so poorly written. It is awful. And if you don't believe me, go check out our YouTube videos of it. I've got like 3 videos of Crime Boss up on YouTube right now. And in the very first episode, you'll probably hear me laughing so hard at how bad the dialogue is. It really is not great at all. The dialogue is straight boo-boo. It's really not good at all. It's like you have this talent and you just pretty much wasted it. You should have let them. You could have probably had them ad-lib the entire thing and it would have been 10 times better than what we were probably reading off of a fucking sheet of paper. But even aside from that, the gameplay elements themselves, it left a lot to be desired. Now I see why. When this game released digitally months before the physical release did, and nobody was really talking about it, I can kind of see why. I get it. But it was a game I still wanted to play, and when the physical copy came in, I was like, hey, look. And I popped it in, installed, and played it. And now I'm like, yeah, I see. I get it. I can't say much of anything. I get it. The game is trash. I can't do an under review on it just yet because I'm not completed with it yet. But I can tell you right now, it's not going to be a good one. Oh man! All right, so that's what we've been playing this week. When we come back after this quick musical interlude, we're gonna get into segment number 2, which is our Grind My Gear segment. So make sure you stay tuned. So, Maestro, would you mind taking us out with some music, please? And welcome on back. Well, welcome on back. I got to thank you guys so much for joining us back here on Unpopular Opinion. I got to give it to her. Out of the massive selection of songs I told her to kind of pick and choose from, she's actually done a pretty good job thus far. I got to give her a high five later on. Make sure that she's full aware. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for joining us back here on Unpopular Opinion. We are about to get into a segment number 2, right? We're on segment number 2? Yes, segment number 2. Where we're going to get into what is really grinding my gears. The good old Peter Griffin one. And man, I gotta say we got a couple of doozies this week. And Blue Diamond Van, again, I want to thank you for bringing this story to my attention because I had no idea until I just started like kind of looking at it and reading on it. I just kind of glanced over until then. But then I've seen it started angering a lot of people, including one of the developers that I work closely with right now currently. And I kind of took it a little step further and just kind of, I wanted to fully read into it to kind of see what it fully entailed. And it's not good. And what I'm talking about here, guys, is the news story that broke last week regarding the Unity game engine and its developers and them changing their pricing model to now charging developers for the engine. Now, a little bit of backstory for some of you guys who have no idea what the Unity engine is. It may be just like another name that you have no fucking idea what it is or what it entails for the game developers. Let me break it down for you. There's a couple of game engines out there right now that people can use to build their games. Epic's game engine, which you've probably seen a lot of, like if you turn a video game on and one of the first things you see is like the Epic game engine logo pop up on the screen. That's a game engine. Ubisoft has their, not Ubisoft, I'm sorry, Capcom. I don't remember the name of it. Resident Evil uses it. EA has one, the Frostbite engine. And now, I think this one was like a Ubisoft one, right? It's the Unity engine, and the Unity icon will pop up before a game starts. And the Unity engine is actually one of those game engines that's actually very, very user-friendly. It's easy to pick up and use. You can develop almost any kind of video game for like mobile platforms. You can develop one for console, even computer. It's utilized. It's alongside the most popular one next to the Epic game engine. If you're trying to figure out what games kind of use the Unity engine, besides the ones that we work with here on Treefall Studios, we use the Unity engine quite extensively. But games like Beat Saber, Pokemon Go, Outer Wilds, RimWorld, Fall Guys, all these games use the Unity game engine. These are games that use that engine. So, what does that mean for you? As a consumer, probably nothing. You look at this from the standpoint from a consumer, this probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you. You're just kind of like, okay, this is more of a developer story. And it is. This is more now of a story directed towards developers. But this can have a longing effect. Man, I got to get my words together today. A longing effect towards the consumers. And let me explain why. Well, I guess it would help if I kind of explain what the problem or the issue is right now with the engine. So, what they want to do is they now want to charge game developers each time a consumer installs a qualifying game to meet the criteria. Now, there are certain criteria that a game has to meet to be able to trigger this Unity runtime fee. And the runtime fee is basically they charge now the developer each time a game is installed and played of their game. So each time a game is installed, they get charged a fee. Doesn't matter. Even if the player never even plays the game. If the game's installed, they get charged a fee once it meets a certain criteria. Here's the criteria that a game has to meet to be able to trigger the new runtime fee, as they're calling it. The game has to generate a revenue of over $200,000 over a 12-month period. I mean, come on. Pokemon Go, Fallout, Fall Guys, those games do that probably on a weekly basis. Over a 12-month period and 200,000 installs over its lifetime. Some of those games have already eclipsed that 5 times over. This is going to be for the Unity Personal and Plus membership tiers. If these criteria are met, developers will then have to start coughing up 20 cents for each install of the game. There's another 2 tiers for the membership as well. That's the Unity Pro and the Unity Enterprise members will have to meet a threshold of $1 million in revenue and 1 million installs over a 12-month period to trigger the runtime fee. But if you have one of these memberships, which are more expensive to have, by the way, they will then pay a reduced rate compared to the smaller developers, as little as a penny per install. So, if the game has over 1,000,001 installs per month, these changes will then start to kick in, and this goes into effect on January 1st, 2024. Man, it's one of the biggest issues is this is going to apply to, like, this Unity pricing structure is going to apply to all games, even those that were released years ago that use this engine before this new criteria kicks in. So this is not going to games that are releasing after January 1st, 2024. These go to any game that's been used. So if you made a game 10 years ago and you used the Unity engine, you sold a few million copies of that game, they're going to come back and want their money, almost like they're the IRS, like they're the tax service now. Who the fuck do you think you are? And the sad thing is, this is going to affect smaller developers more so than the big studios. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but sooner or later, every studio is going to be a small studio. There ain't going to be big studios anymore. That's going to go out the window. Most houses and most studios are turning into small development houses. Every time they try to expand and get into a big studio, they always have to downsize it. Look what just happened to the developers of Immortals, the game that just came out, Immortals of Avalon, the game that just came out for Xbox. They just shipped their game not even a month ago, and they just cut their studio almost in half. Because the game just didn't sell that well. And they had to cut jobs. Now you want to tell me that you want to put more strain on those studios because of the installs of the game? So if the game's successful, thank you, more money please. Get your fucking hand out of the developer's face. That's going to close down. I won't even say it's going to close down studios because we don't know the outcome of what this is going to be, especially once this takes effect the next year. But I can tell you right now, some of those smaller studios that are already penny pinching, and now they're going to have to fear whether a game that they released, that they built on the Unity engine, that they released 5-6 years ago, that was very successful to them, now they're going to have to pay for that? That doesn't make sense at all. And the other big question that a lot of developers are starting to ask too, well, what about pirated copies? What about copies that are like downloaded or installed illegally? And Unity's going to try to backpedal a little bit here and try to play some PR, like, oh, we're working on ways to kind of take a look at that. That's a smart way of saying, no, they're not. This is just brought to our attention. We'll try our best, but if it doesn't, who gives a fuck? I hate to tell you, the developers themselves are the ones that are going to give a fuck. And how does this affect the consumer? Well, let's think about it. You're going to have less inclined developers to develop. One, they're not going to develop games using the Unity engine, which means they're going to start developing games using probably Epic, some of the other engines that are out there, which means it's going to be harder for them to develop games on. It could take them longer because now they got to get acquainted with new tools or a new tool set. Could take them longer to develop. The studio sizes are going to be smaller, which means the games are going to take longer to develop. And who knows? Let one of these studios put out a game using the Unity engine and say, you know what? Well, we'll just increase the price of this game to the consumer so that we can use that price increase to try to help offset this rising cost that Unity's trying to put on us. And the people over that work over here at the Unity, at this whatever the fucking company is that owns Unity, can't tell me they didn't see this company, why they didn't see this coming. Because if they didn't, then why the hell did the CEO of this company sell off a lot of the stock, a lot of his personal stock in this company? Did he sell it off before this announcement just came out? And I'm not talking about like months before it came out. I'm talking about like a day before this announcement came out. He sold that stock off because he knew it was going to plummet. He knew it was going to piss people off. He knew the backlash that was coming, and he didn't care. This is what's leading me to believe that they don't care what your thoughts or opinions are on it at all. They don't care. They can try to say, well, yeah, we're developer friendly. This is showing the complete opposite. And I help work in a studio, contribute to Treefall Studios. And Eli, if you're listening, I got you, bud. Contribute to the studio, and all their games are Unity based. It's a good engine to use. It's easy to develop for, especially for those that are just stepping into the industry. It's the most cost-effective engine to use. Not anymore. It's also one of the easiest tools to use to build your game off of. They just shot all of that out the fucking window. I don't know what game developers are going to use this going forward, but this new runtime fee is so anti-developer that I don't see any of them using that shit at all. I wouldn't. I would already be looking for a new engine to use and to build off of. A runtime fee? Are you guys really that hard up for money that's the level that you would go to? The fuck were you guys thinking? It's just like look, I know a lot of companies out there now are money grabbing. A lot of companies are penny pinching now. They're looking for new ways to kind of get money. They got to try to do this and do that to try to generate more and more revenue. Prices of everything in this world are going up substantially. So they got to try to find more and more ways to get more money and get more money. This isn't it. Look, I'm sure there's other ways you can kind of go about to kind of get more money. Maybe increase the price of your engine by a little bit. You don't have to do a whole lot. But to charge 20 cents per install once it passes a certain threshold, and you know there's a lot of games. And I mean, I'm gonna hate to see Niantic's bill for Pokemon Go because that used the Unity engine. I'm gonna hate to see their bill come January 1st for what they're gonna owe because if they're back channeling and backlogging that fucking far. Fall Guys, the same way. Beat Saber. You know how many platforms Beat Saber's on? I mean, seriously. And you now want to go back and start charging all them because they used you. You should be thankful they built those games using your engine to begin with. That's like I'm going to say free advertising, but that's advertising for other developers to come to you. This is the opposite of that. Now you're telling them, don't use our engine. We don't want you to use our engine. So if any of you guys from Unity are listening to this right now, go fuck yourself. Fuck all. This whole fucking plan. I don't know who thought of it. I don't know who thought this was going to be a good idea. Like the higher ups at Unity are fucking stupid. I begin to wonder if a lot of times, like a lot of the companies that we shop with or we go with on a daily basis, how fucking stupid some of their higher ups really, really are. And I don't like to use the word stupid or dumb in a context of any sort often, but some people just straight up deserve it. The CEO or the one who approved this has got to be dumb as a box of nails. Or whatever analogy you want to use. Just absolutely stupid. Makes no sense to me. And I don't think there's anybody out there that can easily defend this and say this is a good idea, this is a good thing for gaming. If you are one of them, man, you must be rubbing that tongue of yours awfully raw from all the boots you've been licking. It's just not a good look whatsoever. It's awfully stupid. I hope they change this. I hope this backfires so badly that they're forced to change it. I tell everybody the biggest way to hit any company that tries to do some stupid shit like this, the best way is to either not buy their product or not give them any bit of your money. I did it to DirecTV not even a month ago. The best way to hit a company is hit them in their pockets. They will then have no recourse but to turn around. That's about the best I can say. Hit them in their pockets, hit it where it counts. So the very last topic I want to talk about, for what really, really grinds my gears, is the Starfield review bombing. Now, for those that you don't really know what's going on or kind of have questions about what's going on, Starfield came out. The critical reviews were actually pretty good on Starfield. Most of the media out there had given the game some pretty high praises. There were some studios that kind of or not some studios, but some media outlets that gave it like in the 7s, stuff like that. So it just kind of depends on the studio. But overall, the Metacritic score for Starfield was 83%. So it's in the 83 percentile as far as media liking the game, and it got a pretty it's a generally favorable review from the media. Now, when it comes to the user score of the game, it is down in the 6.6 percentile, which is in the mixed or average type of game. And here's what what really starts to irk me or push me a little bit into trying to think of the best possible way to kind of put this. Some of these fans, they call themselves gaming fans, are bombing the hell out of the game because of the choices that Microsoft had made. And because the game is probably only on Xbox and it's on Game Pass. I guarantee you that's where a lot of these user-generated reviews are from. A lot of the stuff I'm seeing is this game is just totally average. It's not No Man's Sky. Look, these are two fucking totally different games, okay? You can't go into Starfield saying you're trying to get No Man's Sky or you want a higher end No Man's Sky. That's not what this is going for. So you went already in with preconceived notions of what this game is going to be. And anytime you go into a game with preconceived notions of what it is before, you're doing yourself a disservice. Look, this game is a Fallout game in space. That's the best possible way that I could possibly put it to you. It's Fallout in space. It plays very, very similar. It has a lot of similarities to the Fallout franchise. It has a lot of the gameplay mechanics and characteristics of the game that we liked from that. And a lot of the media, and even some of the media, I'm just like, man, why the fuck did they give this game to so-and-so to review? I don't understand that either. Why give it to the one person that doesn't like space games to review? What sense does that make? Or somebody who just doesn't like Bethesda-type games. Why give it to him to review? You're going to get, even though they try to say it's an unbiased review, it's a biased review. Don't let them fucking fool you. It is. They're not a fan of this particular game set. So why let them review that? Why don't you give it to somebody who's experienced in that set, who actually enjoys games like that, and let him give an honest assessment of it? Don't expect to try to get an honest assessment out of somebody who doesn't like that genre of game. Do you think you're going to get an honest assessment from me off of playing a game like Peppa Pig? Do you think I'm going to give you an honest review of that? That's not my type of game. I don't play that type of game like that. Have I played it? Yeah. I got a young daughter. I played it. Is it a game that I will sit back and want to play in my free time? No. You got to ask yourself, especially media, if you're going to give this game to a guy to review. You get the game in early, you're going to give it to somebody to review. You got to ask yourself before you hand it to that person, would you play this game in your free time? Like, do you plan on playing this game in your free time? Could you see yourself in your free time wanting to take off stress and play this game? If so, here you go. I want your honest assessment of what this game is. Detail by detail, word by word. Give me your honest assessment. Now, some of the critiques are true. I will give it that. Some of the critiques are true. The inventory management system does need work. I will agree with that. That can be a little bit convoluted. There are some bugs in the game, especially when it comes to the NPCs. We've seen those that are quite funny. But some of the other stuff, it doesn't make sense to me at all. The game's very, very customizable. You can do a lot when you customize your ship. Could there be a little bit more customization as far as when it comes to the person? Yeah, I mean, maybe, but it's still actually pretty detailed. I mean, if you're used to the customization of a character from like the Fallout or Elder Scrolls series, ain't not much different here. It's the same type of thing. Not much of a difference at all. So, if you're a fan and you're bombing this game's review because it is not on your system of choice, you cannot consider yourself a quote-unquote gamer. You're not. You're a bitch. I don't care. It got real quiet in here all of a sudden. I don't care. I'll say it again. You're a bitch. Like you're one of those that wants to try to, you want your day-to-day activity is to go out and find something to complain about. You're not happy unless you can find some way to make somebody else or something else miserable. And you're a poor excuse for a human being. Unpopular opinion, I know. Don't care. Don't give a shit. I'll say it again. You are a worthless piece of shit. If you feel the need, you have to go and bomb a game because you've got nothing fucking better to do. And I can't play this game on PlayStation. It's not on my system that I have, so I have to go out and buy an Xbox to play it. Yeah, guess what? Studios and platform holders have been doing that for years. Do you think Xbox fans went out and like fucking bombed God of War when it came out? Or Spider-Man? No. You know what a real gamer went and did? Went out and got that platform. Went out, or some means to play that game. Went out and got that game. Went out and played it. Instead of being one of the fanboys, and that's what you are, a fanboy whose love is for that platform and that platform only, and I'm talking about the PlayStation 5. You're in love with that platform and that platform only, so nothing else fucking matters. And if there's a game coming out that's so hyped and you can't play it because you don't own that platform and you refuse to go out and get an Xbox to play it or a PC to play it, you're going to find ways to fucking bitch about it. Go fuck yourself. If I was Bethesda, I'd be like, bend the fuck over and let me just fuck the shit out of you. That's how I'd fucking treat it. You guys don't deserve the fucking breath. Like, you're out here, literally, let me go to Metacritic and let me just start bombing the hell out of this. Like, look, this one dude gave it a fucking 3. In a year full of inspired games, Starfield's cite as totally average, non-ambitious cash grab. Where the fuck is the cash grab? Tell me that. Especially when it's on a platform, when the majority of the platform holders are on Game Pass to begin with, and the game is on Game Pass and they can play it without having to buy the fucking actual game yet. Where's the cash grab? They worked on this game long before fucking Microsoft bought them. Where's the cash grab? And you want me to expect to respect your opinion on that? No, you sound like a fanboy that either didn't get a chance to really play it or haven't played, you just watch videos on it. Or, here's the other thing, you don't like that type of game, that genre of game anyway. So why the fuck, okay, getting heated here. If there is a game that's out, you don't like playing games like that, you hate that genre of game, you don't deserve an opinion in the room. If this is a game, we're going to talk, like, we're in a circle. All of us are here, we're talking, we got headsets on, we're going to talk about Starfield. And I got a good example of this. I was actually in a game, Blue, you probably remember this. I was in the game with you on Phasmophobia, and there was a guy in the room, I don't know who he was. He's not a fan of, he's just not a fan of Starfield, but he's just not a fan of that general type of game. I get that. We can actually have an honest conversation then. I get that. You don't really have an input into it because you don't like that type of game. I get it. I'm 100% with you. If you don't like it, why even bother with it? We can have an honest conversation. But if we are in a room, we all got headsets on, or we're all just sitting in the room talking, physically back and forth, we're going to talk about Starfield. If you're one of the ones in that room and you just want to get your opinion out there, you just want to voice your opinion to whoever the fuck will listen, Twitter's good for that. You want to just voice your opinion on whatever the fuck and to whoever the fuck will listen to it. If you want to try to give me your opinion on Starfield and you don't like games like that, you're just not a fan of those type of games or that particular genre, You have no room, zero, to talk about it. The best option for you is to sit in the corner and shut the fuck up. Until we come around to a game that you do like, or a genre of game that you do like. That's how this shit works. If you're out there, if you're one of the ones that did that, this is how this whole fucking shit works, okay? I will repeat it one more time. We're all in a room. We're going to talk about a game. Well, in fact, let's not even talk. We won't even do Starfield. Let's talk about Mortal Kombat. All right, guys, we're all going to talk about Mortal Kombat. Raise your hands if you're a fighting game fan or a Mortal Kombat fan. If you are not a fan of fighting games like that, or you just don't get into fighting games, or you don't like Mortal Kombat, you keep your hand down, go the fuck in the corner, keep to yourself until the grown folks are done talking. Then, and only then, can you come back to the conversation. Once we're done, we'll wave you back into the room. All right, guys, come on back in. You guys can join the conversation again. Because now we can talk about something that maybe you like. It's that mentality. It's that mentality of like, I don't like it, so I'm going to voice my opinion on to people who may like it. Your opinion means zero fucks. Say it right here. I got my zeros up in the air right now. I'm showing them right here in there. Zero. Have I said enough on it? Have I kind of dug into them just a little bit too much? Yeah. I mean, I've read a lot of the user reviews on Metacritic. Some of them actually had some pretty valid points. And I say that with a grain of salt. Some of them had valid points. A majority had none. And should have been that kid that was kicked out of the classroom and stuck in the hallway until the conversation was over and then they can come back in. That's it. That's how I feel. That's what really grinds my gears. At least this week anyhow. All right, so when we come back, we're going to go into the under review. We're going to look at Madden 24. And then we're going to get ready to close this show out. So, my show. Again for me, hit that music and we will be right back. Welcome on back, everybody. We're going to go into another segment here, and this segment is a popular one from our YouTube channel, the Under Review. And this time we are going to be looking at Madden 24, the game that just came out from EA in August of this year. Now, I'm not going to do a long-winded review. That's not what this is for. It's going to be just a brief overview of my opinion on Madden 24. And let me give you a little history on Madden on Madden for me. I get Madden on one for my business. I have to get Madden on a yearly basis, but I've been getting Madden for years, from the Xbox days to the 360 days to the Xbox One days to where we are right now. So I've seen the transitions year to year for Madden for many, many moons. And every year I keep getting more and more disappointed with Madden. And Madden seems to be one of those franchises, and I think, honestly, NBA is starting to head that way too. But Madden is one of those franchises that really, really needs a big breath of fresh air. It needs a complete revamp. It needs the time to develop. This whole coming out every single August is proving detrimental to the team, because then they're just taking the year prior version and just making small, cute details to it to kind of up it. Now, does that mean that Madden 24 didn't have any upgrades to it that we didn't really want? No. There was actually a couple good things that came out of Madden this year. Last year's hit everything system, they actually combined that with new animations that actually take into effect the player's size and his strength into account. So they readjusted a lot of the tackle animations to where if you go in for a tackle or you get hit, let's say you're playing as, I don't know, let's just say Mac Jones, and you got Aaron Donald coming at you. In real life, if you're looking down the field, you see Aaron Donald coming at you, you're like what Geno Smith did in week 1. Oh, shit! You're going to get that same feeling in this game because when he hits and you're going to feel it. The animations actually make it look pretty realistic as if you're watching it on TV. And one of the other improvements is they actually added to the skill-based passing system. They added some new animations to it, and they actually made it better to represent the scenarios the players are in when they're catching the passes. So if they're doing the two toes before going out of bounds, the in the corner end zone catches, what was the catch that my man Julian Edelman made at the Super Bowl against the Atlanta Falcons? Those types. Improvising QBs. So if you're playing with a team or with a quarterback that is more nimble, such as a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, you're going to see a lot more mobility and running on the pass plays from them than you would the other QBs. So they kind of actually upped and increased that. But that's really about it. Madden year over year is tending and trending towards the same thing every year. And one thing I've actually been calling for Madden for a while now has been more of just do a subscription-based service with Madden. All right? Every year you charge $20. All right? $20 on a yearly basis from everybody that buys a copy of Madden if they want. And every August you throw out a big update to the game that you just bought. You get a big update. And the update can include player changes, looks, new rookies that have been added to rosters, players that have moved from team to teams, any teams that have changed their uniforms or their logos, stadium improvements, and just simple gameplay mechanics. Because that's what you're doing every year anyway as it is. A lot of this stuff that is much better than it was in the previous year or what they added this year, you could have done with just a simple download package for last year's game. And if anybody at EA can hear me, I think this would probably work out beneficial to you and put less strain on your development team to get a box product in store shelves. It actually opened them up to be able to create and do more, add more features. If you just create a simple subscription-based service, put out 1 year, we're going to say, look, we're going to put out, it's not going to be Madden 24. I mean, you can still do that if you want because, everybody's kind of got that, that sense now, okay, what Madden is this? What year Madden is this? You can still do that. The install package that comes out every August will be, well, this is the Madden 24 package, or this is the Madden 25 package. Madden 26 download is coming. And it's going to be a 20 gigabyte download or 19 gigabyte download. Because some of these mechanics that have been added to this game obviously cannot be that high on the gigabyte count. It just can't. And I think if this game went to a subscription-based model, I think it would actually probably succeed. And you'll probably get more players on the user base. Sell them a copy of the game at $79 or $69.99. And then you subscribe to their service, $20 a year. And that gets you future updates, because you get updates on a weekly basis with Madden as it is anyway. But most of those are just schedule changes, game changes, stuff like that. Smaller, small details. And then the big update that comes at the end of the year or the beginning or before the start of the NFL season is like roster changes, moves, stuff like that. That's when you can start adding in those big updates. I think that'll actually work out much, much better if you did something like that. It just wasn't enough in the package to me to justify the $60 or $70 price tag that Madden has on it now. You're getting much of the same thing that you got from the previous year's version. The menu changed a little bit, and I still don't understand how, but like the input lag from like the menus is still pretty prevalent. I don't understand how it's so bad. Like with the input lag, it still takes a couple seconds for it to even register. And it's like that on almost every time I go to play it. Like those are like some of those small bugs you just can't fix. And there's still some like player animation bugs too that I thought I've seen some of that actually been pretty funny. I mean, you've seen the quote unquote flopping in the NFL sometimes. Watch some of that shit in Madden. It'll actually have you rolling a little bit. But anyhow, Madden 24 is Madden 23, Madden 22, Madden 21. You're getting the same type of thing, just updated rosters, maybe a little bit upgraded animations. They tend to be adding more and more animations on a yearly basis. Not enough to justify the cost. For that, I'm going to give Madden. I think I'm going to give Madden a 6. Madden's Madden. If you're a football fan, if you love playing Madden, you're probably gonna sit back and chill and enjoy playing a few games of Madden here and there. But for a hardcore Madden guy, you're 24/7 Madden. There's just not enough here, not enough meat on the bone. So with that, I'm gonna give Madden 24 a 6 out of 10. Is that dramatic enough? All right, let's give them one final song here before we close out, and then we're going to go into our final segment where we're going to look at next week. We're going to open up the Twitter hashtags, look at next week, and then we'll close out here. So stay tuned, everybody. All right, guys, and thank you so much for coming back to us here. We are breaking down into our last segment of the afternoon, and I want to, again, take this time to thank you guys for allowing me to have this platform again. It's been a very long time since I've been behind the mic and have hosted any kind of a podcast show. I've just been extremely busy. I'm still going to be extremely busy a lot of the time, but I'm trying to find time within my schedule to get a show to you on a weekly basis. It's a way for me to kind of unwind a little bit. If you're looking for something to kind of plug into your ear while you're doing your work, you're outside, you're out doing a lot of things, you're out and about, you're moving, going from place to place, you're in your office, at your computer, I'm trying to give you something to kind of listen to and enjoy while you're having to go through all of that, okay? So again, I want to take this moment to thank you all you guys for joining in. Make sure you keep coming back to us, subscribe, like these videos, like the podcast, subscribe to the RSS feeds once they go live to get these weekly updates. As soon as a new show hits, you'll be able to come right on in and listen. So we're going to open up the Twitter hashtags here. Make sure you use the hashtag unpopular opinion. Almost forgot the name of the show there for a second. You see, you're looking at me like, hashtag unpopular opinion. Make sure you use that on Twitter or X, formerly Twitter, blah, blah, blah. Don't give a fuck. I'm still going to call it X or Twitter, whatever. So make sure you use that hashtag. We will try to answer and pull out some of the best ones on every one of our shows if we get any. So just make sure you use that hashtag. I would greatly appreciate it. And in closing, what to look forward to on our next episode? Well, I mean, as far as the Grinds My Gears segment, I'm still working on that, but I did find, I found, but Blue Diamond Ben sent me some links to some documents from Microsoft with the with the Microsoft versus the FTC that happened back in like June. Some documents have come out that had some pretty nice tidbits about with PlayStation and some other goodies. The Elder Scrolls 6 rumors about Elder Scrolls 6 also being exclusive to Xbox. We kind of knew that was going to happen anyway. A possible rumored release window for Elder Scrolls 6. Trust me, it's many years away. Also, some of the quotes and stuff like that they're talking about when it came into regards to Call of Duty and what their actual true concerns were. And not so much was it Call of Duty, but it was other things, which we kind of, again, thought was probably going to be the case. Well, we're going to also look at a game such as Mortal Kombat 1 that is releasing. We will have our hands on. NBA 2K24, which we have been playing some of. We're also going to look at what other games have we got coming out this week. Is there anything big like on the horizon besides Mortal Kombat? I know Mortal Kombat 1's like the big one we got. What do we got? What are we reviewing this week anyway? Crime Boss, right? So we are going to finally put a score on it. Boy, be on the lookout for that one. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be a high one. But be on the lookout for the score. We will have a review score for Crime Boss. So be on the lookout for that. And as far as games, like I said, big games we got coming in this week has been NBA 2K24, which we've had for like a few weeks as it is anyhow. And Mortal Kombat 1's like the big one, right? Yeah. Mortal Kombat 1. That's going to be the big one, so make sure you take a look at. I think there are a few others. Liza P comes out. I've been looking forward to that one. Liza P is on its way out to both Xbox and PlayStation. Payday 3 comes out this week. We will be on that one as well. I think Party Animals comes out this week as well. I know you're looking at me really fucking weird about it, but Party Animals comes out this week as well. So there's a handful of games coming out this week. So we're going to have a lot to kind of discuss on our next week's episode. So with that in mind, everybody, again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure you hit that comment, like, and subscribe buttons on whichever platform that you're listening to us on. And until next week, everybody, I am KOD X Factor. This is Unpopular Opinion. And I will see y'all on the next go-round. Peace!